This is the Kratom Science Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Gallagher, blog and social media writer for KratomScience.com, your source for all things Kratom. My guest is Scars Hernandez from Dayton, Ohio. Scars earned his name from over 20 surgeries in his lifetime. In 2018, after years of being addicted to pills, Scars found Kratom. He's now active in the movement to keep Kratom legal in Ohio. This is Scars, and this is his Kratom story.
So how'd you get the name Scars? That's a cool nickname.
Thank you. I've earned it. I've been through over 20 major surgeries. I call it being cut, because I'm a man. I like being a man, and I like representing how I am a man. And just, I don't know, I'm from a military family, but I couldn't serve because I got juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, now called juvenile idiopathic arthritis, when I was 4. So, I got my hips replaced when I was 16, and by the time I got my hips replaced, I had already been cut 10 times, and then, I'm 46 now, so I've just been cut so many times, and I got my gallbladder exploded a year ago, and I just kind of toughed it out because I thought it was a side effect of some of the stuff I was doing with nutrition. I was really pushing my protein a lot back then, so I thought maybe a side effect from that. I ruled out appendicitis, and I was like, it didn't even occur to me gallbladder, right? And I had a massage therapist at the time, and a beautiful young woman, and she told me, not very smart though, and she told me that she thought it was a gallbladder, and she taught me how to massage it out. So I was stabbing my exploded gallbladder with my finger for 5 days, and when I went to which couldn't have been healthy for it. And finally, when I said, fuck it, I got to go to the ER. And, my dad was kind of helping take care of me. And I said, I got to go to the ER. And he looks at me and he goes, why? I'm like, oh, dude, we are way too manly, So I go to the ER. They say, all right, why did you wait so long? They do a CAT scan. They say, you got to do emergency surgery. They cut me open. They put me in, they knocked me out. They tried doing laparoscopic at first, with the holes. And it was just, they couldn't do that because there was too much damage on the inside. So they had to cut my entire right abdominal cavity and muscles open and just cut me right open. But I've been through, this is the epitome of how I earned my name, right? I wake up from anesthesia real quick. I woke up, I'm looking at them, I'm talking to them. They're telling me how horrible it was, how it was a subtotal, how they weren't able to get the whole thing because there was so much damage, yada, yada, yada. And how hard the recovery is going to be. I'm like, fine, let me go home. And they're like, what? Rest, and we'll talk about it because we're looking at 3 days. But I'm talking to them. I'm conscious, oriented, alert oriented, all that stuff. I'm going full speed. And my dad, came to bail me out, and he brought me my Kratom. So I turned down the opiates and took the Kratom and called the surgeon and got a nurse to take my side and got the surgeon in to my room less than 11 hours after the emergency surgery in the middle of a Saturday night, and I was able to convince him that I could easily handle this at home better than in the hospital. And I got my discharge in 11 hours, not 3 days. And when I saw him again for follow-up, he said he wanted to hang my picture on the wall to inspire the other patients. So I'm like, you know what? I'm Scars. So that's how I earned my name.
So I imagine all these surgeries, you probably got prescribed pills.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. I have been. They started me on opioids. I mean, it didn't become a problem, okay, until after the surgeries, they kind of went easy on the injections and stuff for me because they thought I had a reaction. But I was in a serious car accident in 2000 when I was 26, I think, or 23, and they put me on the OxyContin afterwards, and that was the end. Because after that, I just needed some kind of pill. I'd been dealing with the pain for decades and just kind of just dealing with it. But then when I got on the pills that really numbed me, I said, I want more of these. It's working. I don't want to feel pain anymore. And one of my physicians who actually wound up firing me, when I first established with her, because my original rheumatologist had fired me because of my pill use, I said, look, the pills are a problem and I'm hurting and we got to watch the pills. And she just looks at me and she says, oh, there's no reason you should be hurting. And she just started, right. And then she started writing the pills until I got more addicted, and then she fired me and I had no access to pills.
When did you first discover Kratom?
2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Did the prescribed pills lead to an addiction?
Yes, I was I was very much addicted. I knew how addictive they were, and I knew how the cycle goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So after the OxyContin, I mean, they had me in my 20s. They had me on fentanyl patch. They had me on OxyContin, oxycodone, hydrocodone, everything. And I would literally even call my rheumatologist and say, "Hey, the Vicodin's not working this month. Give me Percocet this month," and she would. And then I kind of realized it was a problem. I worked with another doctor. She kind of scaled that back, but somehow I wound up with when I ran out of pills, when I lost my insurance, they were giving me tramadol, and I would not ask for anything more because I didn't want to be addicted to anything more, and I would not ask for anything but the lowest dose of tramadol. But it did nothing for my pain, and so I would eat them all in a week, and like out of a month-long prescription. So I would be getting withdrawals every fucking month, but I wouldn't ask for more because I didn't want to be more addicted.
When you discovered Kratom, were you already off the pills?
Yeah, I got my wives. I have two ex-wives, and they like to divorce me. So my second ex-wife had divorced me, and I had left Miami, Florida, to come back to Dayton, Ohio, and it was a bunch of nonsense getting insurance and getting reestablished with medical care. It took a while, and my weed dealer was angry at me for some reason, so I couldn't reestablish with him, and I was with nothing, and it was just, except for NSAID, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, and it was wrecked. So I went to a head shop and tried talking to them, and I told them CBD didn't do anything for me. Mm-hmm. And the woman, Rainey, I remember her name, I remember her face, she said, "Google Kratom." They're not allowed in Ohio to recommend Kratom, but they can say, "Look it up." So she says, "Google Kratom." And I Googled Kratom, and it took me a couple weeks because I saw a bunch of that FDA lies at first, and it took me a couple weeks to decide to try. But then I did. I went and I got one of those little packets you get at the head shops, and I was fixed.
Comparable to like opioid pills, how does like Kratom work for like your pain?
It makes me happier. It gives me more energy. It is less it kind of makes the pain fade a little bit, but not so much. It's more that it lets me move, which helps me deal with my pain. And so I prefer the whites. And the opiates, the pills, they would just take you. Oh, I mean, they're just so strong. Even the low ones are just so strong. You get that. For me, I would get like a rush. In about 20 minutes, I'd get the rush of it's starting to kick in, and then kind of that fog. And it's just so strong. It just takes up your thoughts and your feelings and puts you in that cloud. And Kratom just gives me a little bit of edge that lets me push and take it from there.
A lot of people, they're addicted to opiates and they find Kratom and it kind of changes their life. Was there like a drastic change? Yeah. I mean, I'm mostly I'm on disability, and at the time I didn't have a car, so I wasn't getting out like a lot or whatever. But there was a drastic change, but the change didn't really kick in until I started meeting other people who were taking Kratom, and they could tell me more about it and how to do it properly and everything. It's kind of a learning curve for everybody, it seems like. How long did that take from the time you discovered it until the time you realized how to take it for you?
I'm still working on it. It's been about 2.5 years, and
yeah.
I agree firmly. There's a lot of self-experimentation, but I'm not too concerned about it because it seems to have very little risk. I mean, I've pushed it. When I was starting with it, I kind of went the old opiate direction, right? Like more is better. And it wasn't helping my pain as much as it needed because my pain is no joke. And I started at 1 teaspoon every 4 to 6 hours. Then I went to 2 teaspoons every 4 to 6 hours, and 2 teaspoons worked better than 1 teaspoon. So I decided, let's do more. I was taking 6 teaspoons every 4 to 6 hours every day.
Wow, that's a lot.
And as you know, with Kratom, it has a ceiling, right? So you don't get any extra benefit the more you take, and it might actually sedate you more. So it was wasting the powder, and it was just, and I did run into a little bit of need when I was taking that much. A little bit of you can see that if you take it too much, there might be a little bit of something there. Like
habit, kind of a habit forming thing.
I would be if I missed, like if I slept through my middle of the night dose, like if my pain wasn't enough to wake me up, the restless legs would be,
Yeah. And so, I mean, comparable though to like an opiate withdrawal, what is like a Kratom withdrawal like?
Like, opiate withdrawal is vomiting. For me, it was vomiting, it was shaking, it was insomnia, it was restless legs. The pain got so much worse. The vomiting is what I remember most, and the sweating. And honestly, I haven't really had any kratom withdrawals because I don't have to, because it's available. So I haven't really wanted to test it that much, but I have cut down from 6 teaspoons to 2 teaspoons, back to 2, and every now and again, I only take 1 teaspoon, and I don't have to do it every 4 to 6 hours. Like, I'll miss a dose, and I won't even notice it,
Yeah,
Sometimes.
yeah, like on an average.
But let me correct myself. Not a dose, but a serving. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, 2 teaspoons a day is about what you take now.
No. I'm still on 2 teaspoons every 4 to 6 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know what? That seems average for chronic pain.
Yeah, it works for me. It's comfortable for me. I've told every single one of my physicians about it. I've got about 4 or 5 physicians in my team, and I've told everyone about it. And interestingly, the only one, including with the pain specialist, the only physician who knew even of kratom was my primary care.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I asked a lot of people, and a lot of people, like, they don't, doctors don't know what it is, and then if they look it up, the FDA, they have to listen to what the FDA says or whatever.
Yeah.
But some people say, yeah, my doctor will work with me.
I don't get pills, so like my pain specialist, all he does is give me shots, so he's got very little influence in my life. And my primary care, I used to be a medical transcriptionist, and my mom was an RN, so I know, and I've been treating the system for my whole life, so I know medical, right? So I'm very in charge of my case, so. Yeah, they're definitely willing to work with me, and even one of the fellows at my pain specialist asked me to give a lecture to the other fellows about what kratom does and how it's been for me. And I'm like a little jockey. I'm all twisted up, and my body's all ravaged, and my body. I'm essentially 80 years old, even though I'm 46. Like my bones are just so old and so ravaged. But I'm a little jock, man, and I work it, and the doctors see it, and they definitely respect what I do and what kratom does to let me do that.
What would you say to somebody who says kratom is just replacing one drug habit with another?
There might be something to that, especially if you take every day for chronic like I do. However, it's like comparing heroin to kratom. I mean, give me a fucking break. Heroin and shit is awful, Opiates are fucking... You're not going to go on kratom and then go on the street so you can fucking spike the vein. Just give me a fucking break. Yeah. I mean, it's nothing. There is no comparison.
Yeah, I mean, that would be an ignorant question, I think, but it's kind of like, I like asking these things as kind of a devil's advocate, because I just want people to realize it's not like legal heroin. It's totally different.
No. I mean, the MSM and the FDA and all the other government alphabets, they're definitely doing the country a huge disservice right now, because I have met so many people who kratom has saved, including myself. And when I was living in Florida, I talked to my senator there about it, and she said, listen to your doctors and do what your doctors tell you. And I say, so you want me to go fucking back on pills? You want me to die on pills, and that's your solution? Yeah. She didn't want to continue that conversation.
I saw that on your Facebook. Who was that? It was like a state senator in Ohio?
No, it was a name. It was down in Florida, and then since Florida is Florida, it was a name you'll know. I mean, it might have been Shalala, but no promises.
Okay. So Ohio is kind of like the hotbed of the kratom thing, because they were gonna shut it down there, and then did you go to the hearings and stuff?
I went to the hearing 2 years ago. Mornings are rough for me. When I wake up, the pain is brutal. Yeah. And and I can get twitchy. It can affect my moods, and because I also have a TBI, fortunately, and mornings can be rough. And at the time, my girl and I, she's also a kratom consumer, although she's not my girl anymore, but she is a kratom consumer. She and I, we went up to Columbus, which is about an hour drive, but we were also, that evening, we were going to be driving down to Miami and kind of hitting all these places, Miami, Florida, and for a couple weeks. So I was kind of stressed about the trip and hurting and everything. And we got to the city, and Dayton's a small city, but Columbus is not so small. And it had been a while since I'd been dealing with the big city bullshit, and I kind of my TBI got triggered a little bit, and I was kind of starting to snap at people. And when I got into the meeting, and I saw it was so packed, the room was filled, and I stood there, and I got there a little late, so I didn't really even get in line to give my testimony, give my compelling story or whatever. But I stood and I watched and I listened, and we were all the same, and our stories were all the same, and everyone was fucking nailing it. They were saying it exactly perfect, and the senators were behind us and everything, and I said, these guys got it, and I went home and I took a nap. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't get involved in the AKA. I'm now a co-chair for Ohio with the big initiative the AKA is doing, and I'm also a congressional district captain in Ohio, and I just got involved with the AKA about a month ago. And
yeah. Was that the Consumer Advocacy Council, right?
Yes, the Kratom Consumer Advocacy Council. We're supporting the Kratom Consumer Protection Act and all that stuff, yeah.
So how do you prepare Kratom? Do you do tea, pill, capsules?
I am a DIY type of guy. Yeah, toss and wash, man. I try to keep things as simple in my life as possible. So I just scoop it, dump it on my tongue, and wash it down with water. And like Misty says, I heard Misty on your show the other day, you know, I stay hydrated. How you doing, Misty?
Yeah. Shout out to Misty. She was fucking fun to talk to.
I love her.
She was hilarious.
Yep.
Toss and wash, stay hydrated. Okay, yeah, that's
that's what I do. I do toss and wash, just simple. My dad was, I've got my dad taking it, and my ex-girl, and my ex-girl, she would do toss and wash. She would take 1 teaspoon, and probably not every day, and just as needed. And my dad, he's 75, so and his legs are going, so he's on 4 pills every morning, and that works for him. Although I think that might be a little bit light, but it works for him, so that's cool. I was just gonna say, like you find the minimum dose that works for Kratom, and then you stay at that as well, or the minimum serving that works for Kratom, and you stay at that as long as possible. You know.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense financially too. Yeah, because I've talked to people who, I mean, this one kid I had on here, he's like, I go through like a pound every 2 weeks or something, and I'm like, wow.
No, I buy a kilogram. I buy in the kilogram, and that lasts me about, probably a month, or at least a month and a half, maybe 2 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, buy bulk, buy kilogram, buy the powder, and if you need pills, just make your own, because pills, I think, are very expensive.
Yeah. Either somebody's going to charge for the labor that it takes to fill the pills, or you can do it yourself. So any problems or any like side effects with Kratom besides maybe not drinking enough water and being constipated?
Yeah, the constipation, that's honest about it. I don't even get nothing. It's just the constipation, and I take magnesium citrate, and I drink water, and it seems to be resolving. I just kind of, like, I've been doing this for myself for about 2.5 years, but now that, and it's been working. Like you asked earlier how long till it started working. For me, honestly, like, it was immediate, it started working immediately. But for me to start kind of figure it out, it's now I'm just starting to figure it out with the community, because you don't have to have extra stuff with it, but sometimes, depending on what you got going on, the extra stuff can help. So I'm investigating different options now, in addition to my Kratom.
Did you ever try turmeric?
I heard that, and I have turmeric in my other room, and I used to dump it on top of my teaspoon. But it's not always around when I scoop, so I don't always use it.
Did it do anything?
I mean, I don't know, man. Like my pain is it's heavy.
Yeah.
So most of the stuff. Like, I was trying to explain it to context to someone this morning, I think, or last night, and it's like, okay, I've been cut so much, right? So I don't know how much this will mean to you. I don't know your history, but my daily pain, like the pain I feel every moment, and this is when I'm moving and being active, not when I'm lying down and just hurting. It's equivalent to how my knee felt when I woke up from my last knee replacement surgery, except everywhere and all the time.
Wow.
So yeah, it gets heavy for me. So a lot of the stuff, it has to hit me. It's got to get to a threshold for me to notice it. So the turmeric was a sub-threshold for me. I didn't notice any difference.
So what do you think the Kratom community can do to get the word out that it's not doing now, or that it's doing now, but it can do more of?
I mean, just tell everyone, man. Well, first of all, find the American Kratom Association in your state and talk to them and see how you can help in your state. We need you in this state. We fucking need you. So find us, okay? We can't always find you. Find us. Second of all, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Take it and have success with it, and then tell people about that success. Show them what's helping you. You know, they'll notice. They'll be like, I mean, for me, they're like, man, you're a different man. I'm like, well, Kratom, duh. You know, so do that. Don't be ashamed of it. So if someone calls you an addict or whatever, just blow them off. Don't argue with them. They're not worth your time.
Yeah, that's true. And you got people here that'll get your back, you know.
Yeah, yeah. The community. I finally found my tribe. I love these people. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great group of people. Definitely. I always just doing this podcast and getting to have conversations with people. I keep learning more and more because I mean I was hired by Kratom Science in 2018. I heard of it a little bit, but they hired me as a writer, and so I'm just like, have you tried Kratom? Oh yeah. I have it in my house, and I do it, and I'm actually trying to get off of drinking with it, and I know I can, but I just have to, you can. I just have to decide.
It's a decision.
Yeah.
I was hearing something about people snorting Kratom this morning. I was reading something online. It's like, you can't even do that's not even physically possible. It's not water soluble. But whatever.
I was interviewed for a local alt weekly newspaper here, and I knew the interview, and she was joking, or she was like, do you snort it? I'm like, if you want to play a prank on somebody, go ahead. Because I did like a toss. I tossed and washed once, and I coughed and like went up my nose, and I'm like, that was bad. And smoking, I can't even imagine.
I don't think it's flammable. I haven't even tried to smoke it. Dude, if you could just dump it on your tongue and call it a day, why the fuck do anything else?
Inject it. That's another one they say.
Oh my god, that's silly.
All right, well, one more question. You sign off a lot of your messages with enjoy your day in paradise. So what does that mean to you?
It comes from the start of that was it's another day in paradise, which might have something to do with Phil Collins. I don't know. I listen to the heavy shit. I like my Meshuggah. I like my ginger. I like my Gojira, man. My Lamb of God. I like the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know Phil Collins, but I don't know, man. It's just like I said, women tend to divorce. Oh, I'm so proud. This week I dumped my girlfriend, first time in a while. So anyway, that's a tangent. But women tend to break up with me, right? So I got my wife, my last wife, my second, divorced me 2.5 years ago, and it was a big deal because there was a lot of. It wasn't. It was a bad deal, and I was in a dark place, man, and I don't like to be in a dark place, and I'm a big believer in like cognitive behavioral therapy and sort of in stoicism and stuff like that, where you control your mind instead of trying to control the environment, right? So Miami is paradise. The women in Miami, I lived in the financial district. I mean, I lived on the 21st floor. It was paradise. And so, people say, how you doing? And it somehow just came to me, it's another day in paradise. So I just started saying it every fucking time. It's another day in paradise. It's another day in paradise. And then online, since I'm a writer and stuff, you kind of brand, you change it around. Well, enjoy your day in paradise. Just try to get something, because when you do that, you should try it in person sometimes. When someone says, how you doing? Say it's another day in paradise. And just watch their reaction, because they will always give you a reaction. They'll either laugh, or they'll smile and they'll agree, but it will give them a reaction, and it will give them that little flash of, hey, enjoy your day or something, like for real. So yeah, that's why I do it, because this is what we get, so enjoy it,
Yeah. And it's also funny when there's a lot of bad news and shit like there's today.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It makes you laugh.
And that's another thing about saying it, because how someone reacts about it says something about them. It's a fun thing. I highly recommend it. But yeah, it is funny, because life is.
Yeah.
It's another day in paradise. Look, guys, I mean, if you see me online or whatever, the Robert Hernandez, the Scars account, like be friendly, but be forgiving. Sometimes I can be a little snippy. But I love you all, and come and say hi, and let's get this done, man. Let's win this fight, and take care of you. And if you're having a problem, I'm here for you. All right, we got you.
Yeah. Thank you from Dayton, Ohio, everybody. It's Scars. Music is Risey. The song is called Memories of Thailand. The Kratom Science Podcast is written and produced by me, Brian Gallagher, for KratomScience.com. Take care.